Good afternoon, everyone, and to our professor, Dr. Corazon V. Floresca. This is Mary Jane Guerra, one of the reporter in Group E. Our topic is about management and culture, and my topic this afternoon is about elements and culture. Before we proceed to the main topic, we know first the meaning of culture. What is culture? Culture is a system of beliefs, values, and assumptions about life that guide behavior and are shaped by a group of people. It includes customs, language, and material artifacts. These are transmitted from generation to generation, rarely with explicit instructions. There are different types of culture across the world, and each culture has its unique essence. While defining the term culture, there are several elements that together constitute as the culture of a particular region or the culture of a particular people. Elements of culture. Elements of culture includes the following: 1. Values. 2. Norms. Under the norms, we have the formal norms and formal norms, mores, folkways. 3. Beliefs. 4. Sanctions. And under the sanctions, we have formal sanctions and informal sanctions. 5. Customs. 6. Symbols. 7. Language. Values, the first and the most important element of a culture, are its values. Values are defined as a measure of goodness and desirability in a culture. In other words, values are the standard to perceive what is good, just, and desirable in a society. In sociology, we are most concerned with the values that are involved in social relationships, moral, and religious relationship, religious values that have been to some extent institutionalized. According to H.M. Johnson, values are general standards and may be regarded as higher order norms. Values suggest how people should behave in a particular culture. For example, in Pakistan, people get up from their seats to welcome a guest. Similarly, not serving guests drinks or food is against the value of Pakistani culture. In our country, Filipinos are known for being welcoming and friendly, so we are very respectable. So much respect for the elderly for one of the Filipino culture and values that locals are very proud of. Pagmamano, or kissing the elder's head on the forehead, one of the most important Filipino culture and values. Values vary from culture to culture. An act or behavior that is deemed good or inappropriate in one culture might be deemed inappropriate in another. For example, in other countries, Arabic men greet each other by kissing on both cheeks. So, in Pakistan or other countries, this is considered inappropriate. Likewise, in a few cultures, men can hold hands while walking, while in other cultures, this sort of practice is uncommon and deemed inappropriate. And our values as Filipinos, it is very awkward to see men kissing the cheeks of its fellow men. So we don't have the same culture as the Arabic. People learn cultural values through observation and exposure to society. They imitate people and hardwire cultural values. The cultural values are collectively shared by all the members of a particular society. Uh, like in our country, we have Muslim brothers and sisters. They have their own culture. The Highlanders, they have their own culture. And the Christians, they have their own culture. Thus, if a person leaves his culture and enters a new culture, for example, naglipat sila from other province, so he has to suffer from culture shock uh, unless he adapts to that new culture. Uh, uh, ex- Example is myself. I am a Christian, then we transfer here in Palimbang, which most of our neighbors here are Muslims. I need to adapt their culture. So when I'm like in wearing dresses, I'm fond of wearing shorts and sleeveless when I am at home. But since my neighbors are Muslims, so I limit myself wearing those clothes only when I'm sleeping. But when I go outside from home, of course, I'm wearing pants or dresses. So I have to adapt their culture. Norms are closely associated with values. They are the group shared standards of behavior. Norms impose restrictions on our behavior. They are model practices. They determine, control, and guide our behavior. In other words, norms are the standard behavior in a particular situation. For example, it is a norm to stand in a queue while depositing fees in banks. Norms are further divided into formal and informal norms. Formal norms are established written rules. In other words, formal norms are agreed upon behaviors that are in the interest of the whole society. Laws in a country are formal norms. For example, it is a formal norm or law not to drive when a person is under 18. Our laws prohibited a person driving below 18 years old and no license. Informal norms are casual behaviors that are widely conformed to. These are not imposed on people like formal norms. Rather, these are learned through general socialization. An example of the informal norm is to line up to order food at fast food restaurant and leave when done. Both formal and informal laws are enforced in society with the help of formal and informal sanctions. Norms can further be classified as mores and folkways. Mores are social norms that are morally acceptable or unacceptable in any given culture. Furthermore, the violation of mores often leads to severe consequences. Thus, social mores are usually legally protected by the laws. Furthermore, mores are also guarded or judged by public sentiments. People who violate mores are not accepted or welcomed by any given culture and its members. For example, it comes under social mores not to drive at 100 km per hour on a busy road. A person violating it would instantly meet public condemnation as well as the law in action. Similarly, killing any person is strongly considered immoral and unaccepted by the society. Folkways are norms that are not morally guided. The consequences of violating folkways are also not severe. Further, the social norms are not protected by laws or formal sanctions. Folkway guide appropriate behavior under a given settings or situation. For example, folkways a guide what to wear for an interview or wedding ceremony. Similarly, folkways indicate how to greet your senior, boss, your relatives, a stranger, etc. Also, shaking hands and smiling when meeting someone comes under folkways. Next is beliefs. Beliefs in a certain culture are convictions that people hold to be true. In empirical terms, beliefs are neither true nor false. For example, in a particular culture and society, people believe that wearing an amulet will protect them from evil eyes. But in other cultures, people might not hold this to be true. Similarly, in some cultures, if a black cat crosses the path, people considered it as a symbol of bad luck. Some of us Filipinos are a greater believer, lalo na yung mga kanunuan natin, di ba? Everyone of us has that beliefs, especially as Filipino. Mahilig talaga tayo sa mga pamahiin. So, that is the beliefs of our culture. Thus, every culture has some specific, widespread, and collectively shared set of beliefs. Next is sanctions. Sanctions are also an important element of culture. And simple words, sanctions are mechanisms of social control. Basically, sanctions are a form of external control that reinforces norms in a society. Sanctions can either be positive or negative. Further, sanctions can be formal or informal. Formal sanctions are the laws and rules that reward or punish a particular behavior. For example, violating traffic rules will lead to a fine, and killing someone will lead to life imprisonment. Similarly, staying disciplined and working hard in an organization will lead to promotion, while being undisciplined or lazy would end up being demoted or fired for good. Hence, formal sanctions are severe consequences of an action. Members of the society stick to norms to be able to avoid such sanctions. Informal sanctions are responses to a particular behavior that is, though not severe as formal sanctions, but can encourage or discourage that particular behavior. For example, an our classroom, we appreciate children getting good marks on tests. So it encourages them to work harder next time. But when we frown at the child or getting angry with the child when he spits on the floor, it discourages them from repeating the same action again. So, informal sanctions tend to reinforce conformity to social norms or values. Customs. Custom is defined as a traditional and widely accepted way of behaving or doing something that is specific to a particular society or culture. It is also a regular pattern behavior in a social system. Uh, Example on this is in some countries, people bow to older people while greeting them. Similarly, shaking hands or kissing while meeting someone is also a prevalent custom in some cultures. So, customs foster social harmony and unity. And to us Filipinos, one of our customs is family reunion. Now, having fondness for family reunion during secular and religious holidays such as Christmas, New Year, Holy Week, birthdays, fiesta, weddings, and many occasions. It evidenced that Filipino people valued not only our cultural tradition but the spirit of our family. Next is symbols. In every culture and society, there are some specific symbols that carry significant meanings understood by all the members of the society. Uh, in our country, we have many symbols that stands our country, like uh, our national costume, or what is our national flower, national tree, national leaves, national bird, national fruit, and so on. In short, every culture has some unique and shared symbols with specific meanings understood by all the members. Last is the language. Language is also an important element of culture. It is through language that the culture is transmitted to generations. Any specific society or culture has a single and common language understood by all its members. Here in the Philippines, we have many language or dialect, but we use Filipino language as a common language to be understood by everybody. Like culture and all its elements, language also evolves continuously with time. Every new experience and thought leads to an addition of a new word or term in a language. Uh, for almost 20 years ago, there were no terms like internet, uploading, downloading, blogging, etc. With the evolution of material culture, language, and non-material culture also evolved. So, In short, language is a key to transmitting and developing culture. Okay, these are all about my report and elements of culture. Uh, Thank you for listening.